Thanks to Rolfo's goal in the 58th minute, Manchester United make history tonight, beating PSG at Old Trafford on matchday 3 2-1. Okay, everybody, now matchday 3 has concluded, so let's take a look at the standings after today. We're seeing the usual European giants in the top four, Barcelona, Lyon and Chelsea, but look at Manchester United making their debut in this year's campaign. They're sat in third place. I think we're all quite surprised seeing Arsenal sat in 11th and also PSG in the elimination zone. So we've had some exciting matchups today, girls, so let's talk about them. Let's specifically start with Manchester United, an historic start for them. Kelly, you've mentioned you've played at Old Trafford, how much of an amazing atmosphere it is. They obviously soaked that in and were able to get the result and for their home fans in Old Trafford.
Absolutely, the aura of Old Trafford lifted them to victory tonight. It was incredible scenes for Manchester United, you know, their first time in Champions League, to be able to play at Old Trafford, to get a win like this at Old Trafford. They should be very, very happy. They're sitting in third right now. I mean, if I'm Manchester United, I'm happy.
Yeah,
they keep saying happy.
It wasn't the easiest of tasks, though. They were 1-0 up, then they went 1-1, and then they eventually were able to win the game 2-1. So that's what we're going to be taking a look now at the highlights in this game, because they were able to go 1-0 up in the 32nd minute. So it took them some time to start getting rolling. But once they did, they were unstoppable.
Yeah, I am really, even if you're not Man United, not a fan of Man United, I think you're just really impressed by them. You see here in the 32nd minute, Riviere, what a great outlet ball to Mallard, who is so powerful. She powers into the box. Look at that strike.
Finish by Mallard to put her team ahead. But PSG said not so fast in the dying minutes of the first half. They have good pressure on the ball, are able to pick it up, and it goes out to Olga Carmona, and she says, you know what, guys, I got it. I'll take it. Scores an absolute worldy, a golazo, a dream goal by an outside back. I never scored one of the goals. I wish I would have.
They didn't stop there, though. They tried to come after it and did start strong in the second half, PSG. This was a lovely opportunity from Bayern. It's a shot inside the box that I think goalkeeper gets a hand to it, and it's just off the post. So that's
all you ever want. And I think what impressed me most tonight was their ability to, okay, PSG did equalize, right? But in that second half, the goal from Rolfo was such an excellent build-up. I loved how, it started deep in their half. They were almost on their end line. And it just, they put together a string of passes and a play and ended up scoring. Like, PSG didn't touch the ball the entire time. It was beautiful work by them. And I think that just shows that their tactics, they got them right. And also, this is their first time in Champions League, and to be calm, like PSG is a good team. To be at home, be like, all right, they equalized. Can we get this win? Can we succeed today? And they were able to.
They're a team playing with confidence, and I think that shows. And I think when you trust in a manager, trust in the tactics that are given to you, you have to have confidence to go in and execute them. But Kelly's spot on. To have a goal equalised, but still continue to play your game, to continue to play your football. That combination we saw from Jess Park is just great football. And that's when you trust yourself, back your teammates to just continue with the game plan and know that you can go on and win it. And yes, they have had a brilliant start, but I still think they'll back themselves against those top teams. We've seen Wolfsburg struggle a little bit. I think Man United will go on and back themselves going into those games. Okay, Lyon might be a little bit of more respect going into that one, but the position they're in, to now be in that top four place, they won't want to lose that. They'll want to hold on to that going into the next games.
Yeah, and it's all about having confidence. You girls know so well. Look, this was the first time Manchester United conceded in a game. You've all played the game. You've all faced adversity. Ali, what do you think the players were thinking at half-time when they knew it was 1-1 and they just let in a late equaliser going into the second half? What do you think the mentality was, and then that shifted into the second half?
I think Cal said it. They looked comfortable. They were composed.
They didn't panic.
No, and it wasn't like they had to rise to the occasion. They met the occasion. They look like they belong here. And whether that is the connection they have, the tactics, I think it was such a complete performance. I mean, that was a wonder goal. It doesn't matter which goalkeeper.
I think if you go into if a team scores like that on you just
you're
say,
like,
good job. Yeah, great goal.
Yeah, it's a fullback coming up. Obviously, hard to know who's going to step in that position. So I think they could have been nervous, but they really are looking. You would never know that they're newcomers.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of distraction potentially around this game, around Mariup's return, but they did exactly what they needed to do. I'm really interested to see how they'll meet these next two teams.
Yeah, well, looking on the other side of the pitch, PSG, they haven't won one game this year. I think we were expecting them to at least be in the knockouts by this point. What went wrong for them today?
They don't defend well, point blank for me. Rolfo's goal, for me, is the prime example. I know she's great in the air. I know she's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from that. But to have a free header like that in the box at Champions League level, you can't defend like that. I think it was too passive. There was no one picking her up. A free header in the box. We've seen Hegerberg score goals yesterday, and she's fighting people off, using her body. Rolfo didn't have to do any of that. It was almost great cross,
completely free,
right on her head. Yeah, for me, you have to look at that, and maybe that's a defender's perspective. But if I look at goals and I think, right, a defender could have been doing a lot more in that position, that for me stood out for PSG, and they've lacked that across the board. It wasn't just tonight. I think the way that they've conceded goals have just been too easy. Okay, it's a great run in behind,
right?
But she just bashes the player off, right? That's a physical, and you get told as a centre back, or in my experience anyway, if a striker is running the channel, if you can't beat them, you still got to body
block.
You got to body them, get in the way. Don't make it a free run. Mallard does that. The striker does that to the centre back. So for me, I think that's physicality at Champions League level is number one. You have to match it.
As well as PSG, another team that won't be too happy with their match today was Arsenal. They lost to Bayern Munich, and after their game, we got to catch up with Emily Fox, and here is what she had to say.
Foxy, it's Kelly. I'm sorry about the result today. I thought you played fantastic. You were fantastic on both sides of the ball. Where do you guys go from here as a team? You said you have a lot of fixtures coming up, but just talk us through what you guys do after this result.
Yeah, honestly, we're extremely disappointed. I thought we had a great first half, and then, 60 minutes in, I think the momentum changed for us, and they had the momentum, and they capitalized on it with the 3 goals. So I think for us, a lot of lessons. And again, we have 2 more games before the break against top opponents. So we have to learn from this and bounce back quickly. But it's really nothing new in the sense of how the season is with Champions League, WCL, and just kind of all the fixtures we have.
Emily, you just said it yourself right now. It's nothing new. What do you think your team is missing? What's the secret ingredient to help you guys stay on top?
Today I think, with the goals, it's being able to keep the lead and keep our momentum. And I think it's a whole collective in the sense of how can we, prevent the counters, prevent the second balls. I felt like they changed up their game plan second half. So really, how could we adapt to that? I think we struggled a bit adapting to them changing their play. So I think we'll, again, reflect, head back home, and focus on the next game.
Foxy, just want to say thank you for joining us today. I know it was a tough result, but we hope good things in the future for y'all.
All right, thank you.
Okay, taking a look now at Arsenal's league phase results. They obviously lost to Lyon 2-1 matchday 2, won at Benfica and lost today against Bayern. They've got Real Madrid, Twente and Leuven coming up. So when you look at those fixtures, maybe the easiest of fixtures that they've had compared to Lyon and Bayern. But looking at their performance today, Jen, they were 2-0 up. And Emily Fox there, you could see she was visibly disappointed with the loss, understandably. You're 2-0 up and then you let it go to 3-2. It was a tale of 2 halves, like everyone's been saying. What went wrong for them in that second half, Jen?
Yeah, I love the honesty, first and foremost.
Yeah, I know.
Emily Fox
Bless
coming
her
out
for
and saying,
being able to even do that interview.
Right. And I think for her, look, you could kind of see the disappointment when your opposition, on your side specifically, Clarabelle gets 3 assists. I think that kind of added to the disappointment. But I think she's spot on, and I think that's where her experience still at a young age shines through, that you can still, in those emotional phases, doing interviews, still say, we didn't adapt. Because for me, that is spot on what happened. I think Pernilla Harder came off the bench, changed the game, they pressed higher up the pitch, they were playing longer balls in behind, they didn't drop quick enough. It was pretty clear that Bayern Munich changed the way they played and Arsenal couldn't adapt. So I massively respect their honesty, but for me, you have to look at how do you how do you not let that happen again? You're playing away from home. You know Bayern Munich have a great home record. They were going to always change things at half-time when you're up 2-0 and absolutely cruising. So I think that's where you're missing the experience in the game. I have to say it. Kim Little being injured, Leah Williamson out injured, that's the kind of experience you need on the pitch in those moments to even just get the group together. After you conceded 1 or 2, it can't get any more than that. After the first goal, you needed to rally the team and be like, right, what can we do differently here because it's not quite working. They came out in 46 minutes and changed the game, Bayern Munich.
I'm concerned about where they go from here because yes, those might be easier fixtures to finish off the initial match days, but if you're not getting confidence from your domestic games, and that's not a guarantee right now for their form, how do you bring that into Champions League or vice versa? But if this Arsenal team, as the title holders, do not finish at least higher in that playoff tier, it's a catastrophe. I have to say it.
So you think even if they finish from 5th to the end of the playoff spots, it matters if they compare to 5th to 13th?
I think so, going into the playoffs, because again,
just so it's momentum and confidence.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee when those matchups get made from the playoffs and the tiers that they have an easy route to get back into it. So I just think that this was a shocking day, and bless Emily. It's not going to be tough, that journey home.
Yeah, no, understandably, she seemed pretty down, but I mean, we've been in a position before when you've lost a game, and the last thing you want to do is speak to the media, but props to her for talking to us after their loss. But we're going to be focusing on the other team in this game, Bayern Munich, because they were able to get that late minute goal in the second half to get their 3 points. We're going to be talking them after the short break. Welcome back, everybody. Let's go over to Germany. We saw Bayern Munich taking on reigning champions Arsenal. So let's rip through these highlights, Kelly.
Yeah, Arsenal started real quickly in the 5th minute. They put pressure on Bayern, and Beth Mead got a shot off, and Emily Fox follows this up and finishes it with her head. This is their outside back inside the box, scoring the first goal for Arsenal in the 5th minute.
In the 23rd minute, we saw just some frustrating play out from Bayern. It falls to Blackstenius. She lays it off to Mariana Caldente, and what a golazo to double the lead. Her footwork, the finish, world class.
Guys, the comeback started though. No surprises. Pernille Harder came off the bench at 60. No surprises. She made the turnover in the centre of the pitch. Right there, key pass. And then Clara Bull was off to what she does. Big counter back from Bayern Munich. This was the start of the comeback, and it was Alara that finished it off to put the score to 2-1. Great counter attack. They had a couple earlier like this, and they finally made the most of it.
And this was just beautiful. We talked about Pernille Harder, her impact. Look at her getting the ball there. It is bouncing. It almost takes a weird angle off her foot, a little slice, but it makes it absolutely perfect. Top bins. Look at that.
And you think it might be over, but it's not. In the 86th minute, Bayern picks up the ball off of a corner, and Arsenal is just not in good defensive shape. And Vigasdotter gets in front of her defender and puts a boot on it and seals the win.
Centre back's dream.
Bayern. Hannah's twin. Game winner.
My twin scoring the game winner. Okay, everybody, you can see here the possession was pretty equal. 52% for Bayern Munich, 48% for Arsenal. You can really see the difference in shots. Bayern getting 10, Arsenal getting 15, which was quite surprising considering Bayern were able to get the win. And the winner, sorry, girls, I got a bit confused. The girl who scored the 86th-minute winner for Bayern Munich was Glodis Vigo's daughter, and we got to speak to her just after the game, so let's take a listen.
Hey, Glody, it's Allie, and I'm so proud of you. It was such a thrill to watch you.
Allie.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I've known you for so many years, and you've just grown up in front of my eyes, and it could
Since I was a little baby.
Yes, you were, and it could not have been anyone, because you were the person back in Sweden for FC Rosengård that we would put up at the end of games to try to get us a goal. I know this was a different situation because it was a set piece, but during that first half, you are wearing the captain's armband. You are a leader. You're a great communicator. How are you keeping your teammates kind of afloat to not get disheartened by what was happening, the struggle with the build, with their press? Because I can see you trying to connect, and you don't want to wait until halftime to get the message. Obviously, you shifted momentum later in the game, but as a captain, as someone who loves to connect and drive her teammates forward, what was the messaging going on out there?
We were really just trying to find solutions, trying to, like you say, stay connected, and we have our ways of doing that with small gestures, small high fives, eye contact. So it's just about not, like you say, basically not falling apart, because it felt a little bit like nothing that we did was working. So yeah, it was just about not losing the connection that we had in the team. And I think after we conceded the 2 goals, it was not great, but it was a little bit more closed maybe. And yeah, then the tactical thing sometimes is difficult on the pitch, like, you know, to see the whole picture, to know and see where the spaces are, because you get a little bit closed off sometimes, especially when it's stressful and you're being pressed in a good way like Arsenal was doing. So yeah, for us it was more about keeping the connection during the first half, and then we knew at halftime we would have time to sit down, see the pictures on the screen again, and find actual solutions with the ball. I think that was for us a complete game changer. And as well, like I said, the subs and how we're able to use our whole squad is a big strength, and was a big strength today.
Bayern Munich sit in 6th place, just outside the automatic promotion spots. They lost against Barcelona in matchday 1, but since then they've had 7 wins in a row. They're on absolutely flying form at the moment. And after the match, we got to speak to Georgia Stanway, one of Bayern's key players. So here is what she had to say. Hey Georgia, a great win for you and the Bayern Munich girls. Talk to us about that momentum shift in that second half. What was kind of said in the locker room, because whatever was said clearly worked.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, we always struggle in this stadium in the first half. I'm not sure if it's nerves, I'm not sure if it's, being in an abnormal stadium that we're not used to. But yeah, we came in at second half, we looked at some pictures, and from that moment we were able to dominate the game a little bit more, deal with the overloads, and that's when we were able to be more aggressive.
Georgia, did you have belief the entire time, or was it after getting that first goal that you felt you were back in it? Was it the second goal? When did you have this sudden confidence? Because we could see the shift. You could almost feel it from very far away.
I'd definitely say the first goal. I think coming out at half-time, we knew that it was going to be a completely different second half if we did and we executed exactly what we'd just talked about. But yeah, as soon as we got the first goal, we pushed and we were super aggressive both in and out of possession, and we made sure that we were tight on the ball, and I feel like the game just completely opened up and was a very, very different game.
Georgia, I felt like when Pernille checked into the game, that was the moment everything changed. Can you give any insight as to why she didn't start?
I don't actually know how much I'm allowed to say, but she wasn't so good yesterday. She was feeling a little bit under the weather. But yeah, you can see the exact quality that she brings when she comes on the pitch. And yeah, whether it was a goal off the shin pad, it's a goal in the top corner, so we take it.
Georgia, we saw a different side of Bayern in the second half. How do you prepare going into the next match day, knowing that you were able to beat Arsenal 3-2?
Nothing changes from us, and we'll continue to do exactly what we do on a daily basis. I think today was just a massive show of character, a massive show of who we are as a team and the strengths that we can go to when we are 2-0 behind. But yeah, nothing changes from our way. We continue the way that we want to play football, and yeah, hopefully we can continue.
Jen, you just joined us. Have you got a question for Georgia?
I thought I'd push in a chair. I can see Stanner's smile already. Hi, Georgia. How you doing? Any more tattoos? I want to ask you about your tattoos.
I'm waiting for your text to come through.
Well, for some insight, yeah. Thank you for that on Wolfsburg yesterday. I won't call you out on the details you gave me, mate. Are we getting like a 3-2 tattoo
No problem.
for tonight to showcase the occasion? What a night for you and the team. How's the tattooing going? That's what I'm most interested in, to be honest.
I'm waiting for you to come to Munich, and then you can be on the hit list.
Oh, nice. Well, to be fair, we are going to London, guys. Maybe Munich
it's
can
nearby.
be the next stop.
I've never.
We can make
I
a little.
don't have any tattoos, so
Kelly O'Hara's
Kelly's
first
first
tattoo.
tattoo.
there we go.
Georgia.
I mean, if I'm going to get any, it's going to be from her.
There you go, G. Would you be the first person to tattoo Kelly
The
O'Hara?
studio's open for you all.
Yes.
I'm down for that for sure.
Good.
Georgia, I think we wanted to kind of know how you were feeling before the game, because you were obviously going to come up against so many England teammates in the Arsenal squad. What was that whole experience like for you? Was there some like trash talking on the pitch, or were you kind of civil with that?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. We have so much respect for Arsenal and everything that they've gone on to achieve. I think it's just nice to see my teammates. It's nice to just see them face to face. But no, definitely no talking.
Well, that's nice, because when I asked Kelly and Ali, they said, yeah, definitely. When we played against old teammates, that'd be the first thing we'd be doing.
Kelly. Kelly's never trash talked in my life.
Georgia, I got to know, you said that playing in this stadium, maybe you guys were a little bit uncomfortable. It's not as known to you, but I felt like the fans were behind y'all and just were going crazy as you continued to put the ball in the back of the net. Was that a big support for you as the game went on?
Yeah, definitely. The reason I say that in the first place, and the reason that I say that we are a little bit nervous when we do come here, is because we do want to give the fans a good experience, and we want to be able to play at this stadium more and more, so that we play attractive football, so that fans want to come and watch us. The pressure builds up and the emotions are there, and it's about how we manage them, and we continue to play the football that we want to play. I think. Yeah, the fans were definitely behind us. You could hear them, the first goal, second goal, third goal, and then every single defensive action. They were definitely the 12th player on the pitch today.
Lovely stuff. Congratulations on the win, Georgia.
Congrats.
Well done, Georgia.
Congrats, Georgia.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Oh, she's so lovely, isn't she?
I
What
can't
a great
wait
interview.
for Kelly to get her first tattoo. I was like, I want to ask her a question or two.
Yeah, no,
about
it's lovely.
tattoos. Yeah,
it was
Thank
kind
you
of-
for letting me just push a chair in and
Of course.
join the team.
You're welcome whenever.
I have FOMO. What can I say? I have
Yeah,
FOMO.
well, we missed you when you were on the call. We missed you down here. Arguably one of the biggest, most important players for Bayern tonight was Clara Ball. She had a great game. She had 3 assists in today's game, which now means she's had 4 assists and 1 goal in her last 3 appearances. She was such an important player, Ali, wasn't she?
Yeah, and we knew when we saw that Pernilla Harder was missing from the starting lineup that it might fall to Bull to be the driving force in the attack. And it was a good matchup. We thought Foxy was definitely winning that matchup in the first half, but it was Clara, I think, that came away with the last laugh, setting up 3 goals.
I think what I find just fascinating about her, both-footed, playing on the wing, and again, I spoke about it pre-game, she just has the ability to pick players out in the box. Most wingers just throw in a cross and don't really think twice about it, but of pure quality, she has the ability of both feet to bring people into play. And also, I do want to say, when Pernilla Harder came off the bench, all of a sudden you have an Arsenal defence thinking about more players other than Clara Bull.
Such a good point.
So that draws more people to Pernilla Harder, allowed her more space, more time in those moments, and I think it brought the game to her favour massively, having Harder off the bench.
Yeah, the 3 assists, the 6 chances created. She was great for Bayern Munich tonight. Looking now, they've had 7 wins in a row since their Barcelona loss, Kelly. What do they need to do now moving forward? I mean, they've got PSG, Atleti and Valerenga, who arguably are teams that aren't doing great at the moment.
Keep the train chugging and score as many goals as possible to make up for the 7-1 defeat against Barcelona. That's exactly
Keep the train chugging. That's the quote of the day.
Tracks.
The quote of the day.
Keep it chugging, and keep doing what they're doing. They're fantastic. They suffered a big loss against Barcelona, 7-1. Oh, I don't want to say this, but embarrassing loss, right? That's the type of loss as a player. You go into the locker room afterwards and you're like, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing? I think so. So the fact that they were able to bounce back in this way in their domestic league, in Champions League, just shows that they can put this behind them, they can move on, and they're on the right track. And I think that we all were a bit concerned after that first big loss and concerned about the goal differential, but with the teams that they have ahead of them, they get three wins and they score a bunch of goals. that win or that loss doesn't even really come into play.
I think it was quite interesting, well, for me to hear as well, when we spoke to Georgia. She said, we look nervous in the first half whenever we play at the Allianz Arena. They need to kind of get rid of those nerves, don't they?
Definitely.
Well, which is bizarre to me because they could do to keep going forward for me is have your best 11 players on the pitch. I don't think you can afford to have 30 minutes and then change a game when, you know, certain players come off the bench. It has to be from minute one. You can't afford to go 2 goals down every single time and then change a game.
Yeah, they
just keep chugging.
Just keep chugging away
with your best players.
They've earned that confidence as well. Coming down from 2-0 to win 3-2 is very, very impressive. Okay, then, everybody, after this short break, we're going to be talking the Spanish sides. We saw Atletico Madrid taking on Juventus and Barcelona versus Leuven earlier on today. So we're talking all things Spanish sides next. Welcome back, everybody. We saw Atletico Madrid taking on Juventus, and what an absolute golazo by Juventus' Emma Godo. She got this goal in the 4th minute of extra time in the first half to win, well, that fairy tale story for Leuven, who we were loving so much. Inevitably, Janelli, Barcelona won this game, even though I did have Leuven predicted to 1-0.
You did.
You know, you have to jump on the train.
Yeah. You had to balance it out.
Yeah, but ultimately it was Barcelona who won, and deservedly so. They played great today.
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. I said Barcelona would be sitting at the top of the table with 9 points at number 1 with goal differential, and they did it. I think they're proving that they want to be number 1 and they want to be the best team in the Champions League. And it also just shows that they beat Bayern Munich, that was it 7-1 on match day 1. Like, if they're beating the Giants 7-1, it just shows they're a powerhouse.
Yeah, and they also have El Clasico coming up on the weekend, and they're able to sub out their starting players after they're comfortably ahead. So that is some of the differences between when you look at in context when you have your domestic and the international competition. And some of these teams are able to just keep that train chugging and focus on both because they're so dominant.
What's the secret, Kelly, to Barcelona? You know, they lost in Liga. They lost in Liga FA, and there was questions going into this game. Look, they haven't gone goalless in a game for 5 years. And then they come back and it's like nothing even happened.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like you said, they hadn't lost in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Or gone goalless in 5 years. So
yeah.
So that's gonna happen sometime. It's football, like that. You're gonna have a bad day, and they were not able to break down Sociedad on the weekend when they played them, but came into this game against Leuven, and I give Leuven a lot of credit. They played them pretty straight up. You know, they were pressing. They were, you know, stepping outside into Barcelona's half on the press. And I didn't expect Leuven to do that, but Barcelona, they weren't able to score as quickly as we thought we were. You know, as every moment ticked forward, we were like, wow, Leuven's really holding on. But it's Barcelona. They have excellent players. They're one of the best, if not the best, club teams in the world. And they're just able to figure out what they need to do and get it done on the day.
I think Barcelona deserves to be at the top of the table right now, but they haven't been tested yet, if we're being very realistic.
I mean, Bayern? But is it just because Bayern played so poorly in that game?
That was not the Bayern.
They weren't shocked
Yeah,
by Bayern.
we didn't see Bayern's best version, so they weren't tested. It was a very easy game for them. And I think their biggest test is going to be next week against Chelsea.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I'm going to sleep until then.
Leuven also had that goal that we thought maybe they've done it, and it was disallowed. It was offside, but it just felt like maybe there was a little bit of a fairy tale here.
I know,
but it was not to be.
Especially being 0-0 for such a long time.
Yeah.
To put it into context, though, how good Barcelona and how dominant they were today, they outshot Leuven 43-0.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I guess that one that got called, was it offside for Leuven?
Yeah.
That obviously doesn't count. Do you think we're seeing this kind of fairy tale dream over, Kelly?
No, I don't think so,
Look,
actually.
they've got Roma, PSG and Arsenal left. So Arsenal's going to be tough. PSG and Roma, though, they could hopefully get some points out of them.
I think they could actually get points off of both PSG and Roma. And maybe Arsenal, you know, who knows? But
who knows at this point?
They've had a hard day.
Pile it on.
Yeah, sorry. But no, I think if I'm on Leuven, I'm saying we held Barcelona scoreless for much longer than I think many people thought possible. And they should take every ounce of momentum that they can from this game. They shouldn't look at this game as a failure, in my opinion. I think they should be like, let's pat ourselves on the back for what we were able to achieve. Like, this wasn't a 7-1 loss like Bayern had. And I think also why we love Leuven is their mentality. They've had 2 comeback wins in their first 2 games. Okay, they came up against the Giants of Barcelona and they lost 3-0. Yeah. Send it back here, keep moving forward, and be part of the conversation in the knockout phase. I think we'll absolutely see that from them.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on to the other Spanish side we saw today, Atletico Madrid. They are my dark horses. And things were going really well for them, weren't they, Janelli? And then Juventus were able to come back from 1-0 down. Juventus are sat 8th at the moment. So this was a must-win for them, but also a must-win for Atletico Madrid.
It was. I think for Atletico Madrid, they have it tough going forward. I think losing those 3 points today, I mean, they have FC Twente, Bayern, Lyon. It's going to be really tough for them to pick up points in the next 3 match days. And for Juve, I think they're exactly where they want to be. They have 6 points. They've won 2 out of the 3 games. They're playing really well. They came from behind. They have players that are in good form. Bonansea, I think, has been their best player. She participates in the final third so often. She gets that game winner. So I think Juve, they're exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, it's almost like, Kelly, they've breathed life into their campaign. We're finally starting to see a Juve side that's performing really, really well.
Yeah, like Janelli said, they have 6 points now after 3 games, which is great. A comeback win here. And what I want to point out is the possession of this game. Atleti had 69% possession to Juventus's 31% possession. So they won this game against the run of play. And they didn't allow Atleti having the ball and being in possession essentially the entire game kind of shake them. And they were still able to capitalize when they needed to.
And I agree with you. And I think they won it because although they didn't have the ball, they were so smart. They were managing the game. They were wasting time when they had to. They were breaking Atletico Madrid's rhythm when they needed to do it. And I think that's really, really, really smart of them. If you know you don't have the ball and you know that you're going to be defending when you're up 2-1, waste time. I know if I'm playing against a team that's wasting time, it's frustrating.
And they were fouling a lot too.
Exactly, yeah. And it's frustrating when you foul the other team and they stay down to just kill a minute, 2 minutes off the clock. But those minutes add up and eventually game's over, you have your 3 points. So hats off to Juve.
And let's not forget that they barely lost to Bayern with the little lack of goal line technology. We don't know how that would have ended. We're giving a lot of credit to Bayern and how good that team is. So I think I may have counted Juve out a little bit too early. I was impressed by their mentality today.
Might have been your dark horse.
I was about to say, can I just say my dark horse?
You can say it.
My dark horse beat your dark horse, so I'm winning on today.
Oh, okay. Enough of that one. We're on to a break. Okay, everybody. Anita Jones was in Munich. We caught up with her. We're going to catch up with her later after this short break. A massive comeback win for Bayern Munich, beating Arsenal 3-2. We caught up with Anita Jones, who was in Munich, and here's what she had to say after the game. We're going to be going all the way back to Germany to speak to our lovely Anita Jones, who's looking fabulous over in Germany. But you probably aren't the happiest with the Arsenal loss. You did predict that maybe Bayern would see this game out and win or potentially get a draw. What were your thoughts on the game and with your predictions, Anita?
Yeah, so I spoke to Renee, the Arsenal manager, and she said the cliche line that we've heard so many times, it was a game of 2 halves, because that first half for Arsenal couldn't have been more perfect, but they didn't score as many goals as they should have. I think they had 4 shots on target. Then you look at the second half, and it was just the management from the manager, the Bayern manager, in those changes he made. They were so instrumental, and I guess that is the edge between managers in this game. If you are able to have players who can come off the bench and affect a game the way they do, it was just shocking, because you see how they took the lead, or they equalised. They got the first goal rather, then equalised, and then I think 6 minutes later, then they made it 3-2. And of course, the crowd here loved it. It was great to be in the Allianz Arena for a women's game, and the atmosphere was unstoppable. It was just the best for them. Obviously not the best for me, but it just feels like Arsenal might be in this little rough patch at the moment.
In the first half, was the crowd still as consistently behind the team, or did it just kind of go to a crescendo at the end of the second half? Because by the end, we could see just how thrilled everyone was. It was so loud. You could see them wanting to celebrate with the players. But what was it like in that first half when obviously it wasn't looking so good for Bayern?
I'd say they had their moments. I think, of course, Arsenal opened the scoring really early through Emily Fox. I think it was 5 minutes, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it was almost as if you could hear a pin drop in here because they'd had that light show, as we saw, the drama came right before the start of the game. And then all of a sudden, they were taken by surprise with that goal. And then, of course, Arsenal doubled their lead. They still were making their voices heard, but I would say it was nothing like what we saw in those final 10 minutes plus stoppage time.
Anita, Arsenal's had a roller coaster of performances, considering WSL combined with Champions League. I'm personally not shocked that they lost this way. I think the way they've been performing, it explains a lot. What do you think is missing? What's the secret ingredient for Arsenal? Who or what can turn things around for them?
I tried to put that question to Renee too, because they have, as I said, been through this difficult patch. You look at the game at the weekend, albeit, of course, Arsenal will feel aggrieved, as Arsenal fans have done, because the decisions made by the referees didn't go their way. But you think of a game like that, the way they performed, still not able to get over the line, irrespective of those decisions not going their way. Then you look at today starting so well. You just wonder if there is maybe a mentality thing there at the moment. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and I asked Renee how she's dealing with it, and she said it's tough. She was very, very honest. She said it's tough at the moment. Of course, they've now got a big game in the WSL with the North London derby at the weekend, and if you're a Tottenham fan, you're going to think and hope your team can take advantage of an Arsenal team that just don't seem to click. So I'm sorry I don't have the exact answer for you, but we saw them have these difficulties last season, so there is hope there. You know, they didn't have the perfect start in the WSL. In fact, I think it was around this date last season where they were effectively out of the title race, and then all their efforts could turn to the Champions League, and they managed to do the unthinkable. So whilst it feels like, I'm not sure if it's a mentality thing, it could be at the moment, we have seen them come out of these kind of holes before. In fact, they're all just leaving as I'm talking to you now.
Anita, do you think maybe that mentality thing is the pressure of coming off being the only English team to have won the Champions League last year? We had big expectations of Arsenal going into this year's campaign, and they haven't delivered. Do you think that mentality is dealing with that pressure, and also the pressure that comes with the WSL, because those games are huge, as well as these Champions League nights?
I think Jen's probably best placed to answer that question, because they know what the badge means. Arsenal's one of the most successful teams in England. Of course, they haven't been of late when it comes to the domestic league, but that is a team that changed the face of women's football in England. And as you rightly mentioned, they're the only team to have won the Champions League. Of course, last season was the second time they won it. So I'm not sure it's a case of the pressure. The players that wear that shirt know what the pressure is. It could just be that maybe they're not clicking. Of course, they've had additions to the squad, and that can take a time for that to adjust. So maybe Renee really needs to go back to the drawing board and think, how does she get the best out of certain players? I mentioned at the top of the show, I would have liked to have seen Chloe Kelly start. I'm not sure, maybe she needs to give other players a chance to try and prove themselves as well.
Anita, like you said, they were kind of in this position this time last year, so it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they'll be able to bounce back like they did last season. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us all the insight from the grounds over in Munich. That light show was fantastic as well. So thank you for all of that, Anita. Hope to see you soon.
I can't promise it's always going to be that dramatic.
Thank you, Anita. The Women's Champions League returns for matchday 4 next Wednesday. There's a big game for Wolfsburg, who will be wanting to bounce back after their loss to Lyon and get back in the top 4. They're taking on debutant Manchester United. Then in North London, last year's champions Arsenal, they'll be playing Real Madrid. Moving on now to the Thursday games, highlighting Chelsea. They're taking on Barcelona. We've got a rematch of last year's semi-final. They'll be playing at 3 p.m. on Thursday. And also over in Paris, PSG are welcoming Bayern Munich. Okay, everybody, it's that time of week. No match day is complete without it. The wind down, pride and lots of French wine on tap to celebrate still perfect Lyon and obviously our CBS Sports colleague Thierry Henry. So stick around. Who knows what will happen next?